Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or good afternoon if you happen to be in Thailand, like the young man that's next to me on the screen is, which is Christopher Lee, Mr. Thailand from the UK. Good afternoon, Chris.
Good afternoon, Saudi Cab, Graham.
Saudi Cup.
Very good.
How are you doing?
Good, thanks. Yeah, I've got a bit of journalistic license because you see this sort of beautiful picture in the background. That's actually Koh Yao Noi, but actually I'm actually in Bangkok at the moment. So, we'll be on there. I'm heading on there later.
Good. So you're actually in Thailand. We can get into the visa, the travel, and the protocol experiences in a little while, because I think that's interesting for people. But you must be one of the few, if the only, English visitor to Thailand that's in Bangkok right at the moment, aren't you?
Well, actually, there's been sort of several hundred in the last few weeks which have come out, but obviously they are very small numbers compared to the hundreds of thousands that we would normally have throughout the year. So yes, I'm one of a few.
Good. So believe it or not, it's 7 months since we spoke, and you were fresh off your morning run on the beach down in Kent.
Yeah.
So you've escaped from a tier 3, presumably, where you were if you've just arrived in Bangkok.
I was, yeah.
What have you been doing in those 7 months? Have you just been doing more running on the beach? Have you suddenly become, like chariots of fire along the beach every morning, or are you actually been doing some work?
I have continued my running, thank you. But yes, I have been doing some work, and I suppose it brings us to our first bit of good news, really, which was that at the Elegant Resorts Awards, Thailand Tourism won Most Proactive Tourist Board. And I was really proud of this award because, to be honest with you, we all like winning awards, but we aren't the biggest spenders at Thai tourism. But in this last year, being proactive is probably the best thing we could be recognised for doing. So I'm very proud of it, and it being focused on the luxury market, which is a real target for us, I was twice as pleased.
Good. Last time we spoke, and this may be relevant to the plans for next year, given that hopefully by May, June next year, the freedom of travel will be restored to the majority of people. You were making a big claim for wanting a better tourism than necessarily a bigger tourism, that Thailand would hopefully go down the route of lower volumes, higher value, that we wouldn't be seeing a massive discount war in going to Thailand. Do you have any thoughts or indeed any strategies or policies on that matter?
Yeah, well, a good way to sort of set the scene is we've just had our own Responsible Thailand Awards. And this was the 12th year that we've run this. So this is nothing new. This is nothing that we're just suddenly doing because it's trendy. But it follows through the idea that we want to ensure that when tourism comes back, that it's coming back in a more responsible and sustainable fashion. So the awards attracted 595 nominations for different companies for these 6 categories of the awards, which was twice as many as we'd had before. It was a huge, huge success for us. And on the back of it, we had a virtual consumer evening with Wanderlust and Orderly Travel. And that attracted over 700 people who registered, and 377, I think, people attended on the evening. So a great, great event. I think it set the scene for, we want tourism to come back, but this provides a bit of a structure for how we want it to come back. Good.
And in terms of coming back, what are the plans? Is anything any news you can tell me? Will there be an increase in numbers of flights? Tell me what's happening.
Sure. So the stage we're in at the moment, obviously, is very limited travel. Because people have to quarantine for 2 weeks when they get to Thailand, the amount of tourists we're attracting at the moment will be very much just long stay, retirees, workations, new word. So they're the sort of people we're going to be attracting at the moment. So that's very much the very short term. Now, as we move, hopefully, with vaccinations being taken, then we would hope to see, and you mentioned May there, I think that's a good sort of target for us in terms of when we would hope that travel would start coming back in significant numbers. And if you tailor that back and say, well, okay, to to achieve that, when do we need to start doing what elements of our marketing? So for us, we will start boosting again our awareness marketing, and really targeting again the sort of the upmarket, luxury, higher spend, wellness, responsible, honeymoon. So those sort of markets are still going to be very much our focus. So it's consistent to what we've done before. That's what we'll be doing awareness wise until January and February, moving to more conversions for the marketing March and April, with a view to people traveling from about May. It's our best guess. Nobody knows, of course, yet, but hearing what the government says about the amount of vaccinations they're going to try and get out, it seems to be that May sounds realistic, I hope.
Fair enough. Let's get a little bit more about your own personal experience. So you arrived presumably at Heathrow a couple of days ago. What happened after that? Take me from there until you get to your quarantine hotel.
Well, I suppose we could go back a little bit by saying, you have to apply for. So I had to apply for a visa, and the visa requires you have to have a negative COVID test as well. So I had one of those done as well, which was quite an experience. But it's all handled pretty quickly. And in fact, our latest news is that if you're traveling up to 45 days in Thailand, then you don't have to have a visa now. So that's good news. But yeah, my experience was, it was all very well organized. Got to Heathrow. You're wearing a mask at all times. You're wearing a mask on the flight, but apart from when you're eating, of course, it'd be difficult not to. So the flight whizzed by, flew direct on Thai Airways, landed in Bangkok, and it is so well organized. I have to say, when you get off, they take you to into different stages just to check you've got all the different forms. So you've got your negative COVID test, you've got your visa in place, and take your temperature again. And they take you straight from there to your hotel, and sit down there for a couple of weeks. And during these 2 weeks, I have to stay within the hotel. And I have 2 COVID tests, one on tomorrow, day 4, and one on day 11. So to make sure you're still safe. And then after that, I'm free to go. And I'll spend 3 weeks after that going around Thailand with my husband.
Sounds very nice too. So you're going to be waking up on December the 25th on your own. I
am actually. I've got the pleasure of my second COVID test on Christmas Day, which is excellent, nice, isn't it? Yeah,
that is very nice. Gift wrapped, no doubt.
No doubt, no doubt. With a Thai smile, though. With a Thai smile.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Well, you couldn't expect anything less. I did notice we ran a story yesterday on our Asia Pacific version that Thai tourism are targeting single visitors with the use of Tinder. Do you know much about that?
Personally, no. But yes, I saw that headline. I think one of the things I do admire about Thai tourism, it's my employer, but also they are pretty innovative in terms of some of the ways that they attract people. I think the Tinder thing will probably be more something within Asia rather than in the UK. But yeah, it's another interesting initiative, I think.
Good. Well, Chris, I wish you the very, very best of times. That sounds, apart from the couple of weeks, well, even that sounds pretty good, knowing the standard of Thai hotels. It doesn't sound too bad to me. But have a fantastic time. And I really, really do sincerely wish that your dream of this better but not bigger tourism comes true. Probably not just for Thailand, but across the entire industry. And we'll speak to you again in 2021.
Thanks, Graham. I'm looking forward to taking you to Thailand as well. Perhaps May, June, right?
I'm there. Because I'm bound to be inoculated by then, because I'm so old and wizened.
Me too.
And thanks, I'll let you go now. Presumably you're going back to your do you have an in-house Only Fools and Horses thing going on or something?
I have Netflix downloaded as well, quite a lot of Netflix. Yeah, that, and I'm still working, so it's able to.
No, I meant about your hat. I thought you were trying to.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I just thought it was a nice little touch,
Yeah, very nice. Yes, and it's very Thai, I must admit.
Yeah.
It's more Deptford than Thai, or Peckham, I would say. But anyway, have a good time, mate. I'll see you soon.